Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And this is Chris Ehmke.
You're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. We're going to kick it off right away with some Exergy do's and don'ts, huh, Chris?
We're just going to switch it up.
I like it, man. Okay. I like it. Okay, Exergy do's and don'ts. Number one, do. If you have an LML, run a lift pump. You have a CP4 high-pressure pump instead of a CP3. They are very intolerant to any debris in the fuel system.
Right. So what's the lift pump going to do then? Okay,
so a lift pump is going to add filtration. It's going to run the fuel down through a 3-micron filter. It's going to give you much better odds of not getting any debris to go through that entry screen on the CP4, which is a high leading cause of failure in the CP4. So long story short, if you want to keep the CP4 on the truck, put a lift pump on the truck.
I think, the thing too, guys with LMLs that are looking to do a CP3 conversion, they're going to do a lift pump anyways, guys. So You're not money out.
Right, exactly. You are already going to do it. So you might as well just get started, do it right, put a lift pump on the truck.
Bingo. How about a don't?
How about a don't, Chris?
We were talking about this, and one of the common practices in the Cummins world is whether you have a VP truck or a common rail truck, you swap out the injectors, but usually they forget about, or people don't really bring up the crossover tubes. It's a couple $100, like $300 for all the crossover tubes. Replace them. It is a wear item. Debris does get caught up in there. I have run in the past where guys have put new injectors in the trucks. Something happens to the injectors. Send them in, get them tested. Yeah, well, there's debris found. Well, how's that possible? Well, you come to find out we reuse the crossover tubes. So $300 insurance.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's a really affordable one that's easy to oversight if you're new to this industry.
Absolutely.
And sometimes guys, I don't know if they think they're shaving a buck or if they think they're saving time. Yeah. Either way, it is not worth it.
I mean, putting myself into the consumer shoes, I would probably be doing the same thing. It's $300. Injectors are already expensive.
Right.
But then when you've experienced, the bad side of that, it's like, $300, no issue, maybe.
Good isn't cheap, cheap isn't good.
Bingo.
I hear you. Okay, featured product from Duramax Tuner, 2.8 liter, 2018 Spade, now available with one tune.
Thank you.
Okay.
We were all hyped up. But it is single tune, guys. EFI Live is working on mapping for the DSP4. So we are giving our customers the options of a couple different power levels depending on how you use the truck.
Absolutely.
So we are working with the price a little bit to counter or to show a single tune. And when the multiple tunes are available, just be a little upgrade and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So really cool product. Previously, we were not getting into the 2018s. Those are now supported. So if you have a 2018 4-cylinder Duramax and you want to get a little bit more out of it or just get rid of that ridiculous dead pedal, we actually did a podcast on that. Me and Nick went and did a drive around, my first time driving the truck, my first time driving it with a tune. You can see my honest reaction to it because I was not excited about that truck at all until he put a tune on it, and now I fucking love it. So
it was a good ring, the 4-cylinder Duramax.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. We are doing a budget build episode today, Chris.
You're just jumping all over the place.
I am.
And I like how you did that, though, because there's a reason for it.
There is. So we're doing a budget build episode today. Chris, you are going to moderate.
Boom.
Which is the first time.
Yeah. You fucked me last time. I'm fucking you this time.
Are you out for blood? Is that what you're saying? 'Cause I have no way of winning this.
Dude, when I came in this morning to figure out the guidelines, I was like, I'm flipping script. I'm going to fuck this dude.
You really did. I actually still brought 2 pages of my previous build before you changed all of the rules 6 hours before we started this. Fuck you. I just wanted to throw that out there to get started. Anyways, we talk about this so we can talk about something else. Everybody knows WC Fab has been our title sponsor or a sponsor since the start of it. They've been a great contributor here. We're always talking about their awesome twin kits. Today's budget build, we're actually doing with Tyler Franzen of WC Fab. Tyler, how the hell are you?
I'm awesome. I'm doing great.
Well, you feel awesome, right?
You don't look it. You don't look it. So just
Tyler, tell our listeners about WC Fab Stocker S475 twin kits.
They're actually really sweet kits. They are pretty much drop in as far as, if your EGR is already out of the truck. It includes the pedestal. It includes the crossover pipes, hot pipe, cold side pipe, driver and passenger side, intercooler pipes. You get a coolant tank. Of course, you get to choose not only the S475, but there's a few other kits out or turbos that can go with that kit as well, available on our website. downpipe. It's, I mean, a basic mechanic, with a little bit of knowledge can put it on.
Mm-hmm. What's unique about your guys' twin kits compared to somebody else's?
I would say, I think for me, what I love about our kits is all the different powder coat colors. The piping of it all is just really professional looking. I mean, our guys in the fabrication shop are freaking awesome. The dimes that they stack on those pipes are freaking mint.
Stacking dimes, bitches.
So WC Fab twin kits are mint.
It really is.
Absolutely
It
mint.
looks factory.
Besides all of our older stuff, our twin kits now, they go right into the truck, no problem, no fitment issues whatsoever.
Nice Y bridges and stuff too, from the stuff that you and I have seen over the last, bringing stuff over.
Very minimal, struggling with it all. If you're a fresh into doing your first turbo kit install, there's gonna be a little bit of struggling there. You'll probably call me up or call Jason up at WC Fab, ask a few questions. But we have a booklet that's sent out with each kit, and you can read step by step on how to install everything for it. So
cool. Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you to WC Fab for being a sponsor of the show. Thank you for coming in today, Tyler. I hope you're ready to be obliterated in this budget build episode.
No, I already told you he's going to win.
Fuck you.
I am so mad. I am absolutely pissed off at you, Chris, about this whole build, because I had 2 weeks.
2 weeks of
2 weeks of work of getting prepared for, having a $30K budget and buying the truck, and now we got something else going on, something completely thrown off.
Chris, we've kicked around quite a few different ideas, so I'll give a couple of the ones we didn't go with. Okay, maybe we'll use these in the future, and then you can tell us how we actually framed out today's episode. Okay, so we kicked around the idea of doing a $30K budget. Mm-hmm. You buy the truck, you buy the parts. We've done that before, right? We kicked around the idea of saying, hey, there is no dollar budget. You have to make this horsepower, and whoever comes in at less money wins. Mm-hmm. We kicked around the idea of saying, you start with a truck, right? Because our listeners mostly have trucks already.
Yeah.
And then you have this dollar amount to make 750 or go make 1,000 horsepower and kind of compare it that way. I prepared for one of those thinking we were going to do it. Fuck you. We didn't go that way. So I had come up with a 750 to 800 horsepower build with a couple different numbers in there, right? And put a lot of time and love and sweat and tears into it. Tyler, how much time did you put into your quote over the 2 weeks? Probably a good 30 hours worth of your life.
I pulled a fucking Danny Voss. I pulled a Danny Voss.
Worthless.
I legit messaged a kid and was asking him about his truck, and I did forewarn him. I didn't go as far as Danny did with, going to look at the truck, totally taking up this dude's
Sunday
time.
afternoon, right?
I messaged him, and I gave him a forewarning. I said, yo, I'm probably going to be doing a podcast here pretty soon with the guys on the Diesel Power podcast. I was like, I want to, quote unquote, buy your truck, but I'm not actually going to buy it. And he was totally confused. He had no idea what the hell was going on. And I was like,
it's some 65-year-old guy who's like, what the fuck is a podcast?
And I have a whole thread of conversation with this dude on buying his truck, working him down on the price, seeing what he had into the truck already.
So you're the reason that I took a job with Nick 4 years ago. Because I was tired of Craigslist for that reason.
Chris, tell us what are the rules for today? How did we set this up?
So my mind thought process on this is the type of people that Paul, you and I work with on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. A lot of the messages that get thrown around on our podcast channel on Facebook, again, these are guys that it's not likely for someone to say, hey, I have a $30,000 budget. I want to buy the truck and build it. Okay. Right. I'm in the market for a truck and I have X amount that I can spend, because most of the time guys are going to finance the truck. They have a little money to play with or something along those lines, or they already own the truck. They want to do it in stages and they know that this is the budget or what they feel comfortable spending over a year or two period.
Right.
With the platform that we're going with minor tweaks, this is really going to be anything from an 01 to a 2010.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, minor tweaks, guys. So the fundamentals are there. But what we decided to do is we are going to work off of an 0607 LBZ Duramax platform. Okay. The idea here is we want to make right around that 600 rear wheel horsepower, a little less okay, a little more okay. And we need to meet the criterias on a $10,000 budget. So you already own the truck. Okay. Hopefully it's good bill of health. And the main focus here is making that power number with good drivability. Okay. We want to be able to maybe not everyone's a DIY guy, so it's going to be rated on the overall complexity of the build.
All right.
Okay. Is this something you can do in your driveway on a weekend? Is this something you have to pay a shop to do? That kind of thing.
Right.
And then we're going to talk about the completeness, because again, it's a truck. Trucks are used in a lot of universal ways. So can we still use it as a truck? And then we're going to talk about the reliability. Again, people use their trucks for the day-to-day. They're using it for work on the weekdays. They're using it for play on the weekends. We're going to talk about the tow aspect of it. Is it going to tow well? Is it, again, going to be used as a truck?
Yeah.
Potential short-term and long-term problems. Again, it's talking about that well-rounded full package.
Yeah.
And then utilizing the budget, see how you guys think with that. So
I like it. Okay. How do you want to do it, Chris? You're moderator.
Man, Rich, do we have a dime? Do we have a quarter? You want to flip quarters? Heads, Paul's wins. Tails, Paul loses.
All right, I have a number behind my back. 1 to 5. What is it?
It's the middle finger. It's 1.
And it's 3.
Oh, I was going for 3. I'll go for 5.
5 is 3.
It's 3. Boom.
go.
Paul goes first.
There you go.
All right.
I told you the middle finger was out. I told you that.
All right. I got an LBZ with a good bill of health. So,
How many miles? Tell me a little bit about the truck.
120,000 miles. It's black with tan interior, tan leather interior. Yeah.
You got me at hello.
I knew it. She's got stock rims, stock ride height, stock everything right now.
Nice.
It actually was owned by an old dude forever. Bought it new. He's finally looking to go upgrade to an L5P. He was going to dump it cheap. I bought it. I love it.
Dude, black with tan leather, that is old man, setup
Screams
right
it,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Screams it. It's got step bars.
I mean, I'm almost
from the factory.
I'm almost 30, and that's my shit.
Yeah, no shit. She looks good. Almost 30.
You're
Fuck.
telling me you don't want offset?
Oh, just wait, bro.
Oh,
just
God.
wait. I
Here we
left
go.
no stone unturned. Okay.
I only had
Used horses on Craigslist, bro.
eBay, bitch.
You have to pay
Actually,
to ship
no.
that shit.
I went to Craig's. Okay. Anyways, we'll get there. That's at the bottom.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
even
at
get the
bottom.
time to go that far into it.
How dare you not take this seriously?
All right, so 120,000 mile LBZ, 1 owner, go.
Go. All right. Started off with a shift kit.
Okay.
I'm not going to do a full built trans because it's 600 horse. It's a 6-speed. And I know the truck is in good health. So I went with a Transgo Junior shift kit. I included the quotes for fluids, for internal and external filters as well. I made sure that I also threw a Suncoast 1053D converter on there. I want it to hit hard. I want it to feel like a nasty monster, even at 600 horse, because I'm going to build it later in the future. We all know this bitch is going to 1,000, right? So I kicked that off. But I looked at the price of a 1053D. I was like, damn. They tried to stick me for my paper. So I got one used on Facebook. So I went on to Duramax Forum.
My God.
Used. I had a great quote on it. It says, only 6 passes. You know that's true. That was the whole description on it. Suncoast 1053.
What did you
was on
score a used torque converter for?
$900.
It wasn't spray painted orange, was it?
No, but it was painted over a sticker. Right. So you pulled the sticker off. It was really weird.
Yeah, totally normal. All right. Included some really good ATF fluid in my quote as well.
Okay.
I got a Stealth 64 VVT. You know you got to upgrade
Figured
that turbo.
that. I
You
totally
got to.
figured
You
that.
got to do
That's
a
your
drop.
roots.
That's
That's your
it.
roots.
That's the shit I know.
Yeah.
I didn't even take employee cost on it. I went for straight up retail because
I
I'm
did
an
the
honest
same
guy.
thing.
I'm
I
an
did the
honest
same
guy.
thing.
$1,800. Stealth 64
Boom.
VVT. Too easy. All right. King Tuning. Duramax tuner. TCM tuning. Duramax tuner. License switch. I went with a fast 165. You got to have that lift pump life. Fuel pressure relief. Oh, I'm sorry. Back it up. Went with a bean sump kit too. Because even though it's not required, we have seen a lot of those pickup tubes inside the tanks fail, and I wanted to score high in my reliability points.
Okay.
All right. I did do the fuel pressure relief valve. It's $50.
Yeah,
It's a
cheap
no-brainer.
insurance.
S&B intake. Didn't need it. Let me just be honest. Right up front, I did not need to do the intake, but it looks dope.
So did you do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Okay,
on there.
okay.
It's on there at retail. I even bought a new Flow Pro 4-inch exhaust.
Nice.
I didn't even go for used. And I found
Straight
them
pipe?
used.
Straight pipe?
Straight pipe. Yeah.
They sound
yeah,
nasty.
yeah. Okay. I had a lot of back and forth on this next one, right? I was like, I'm going to run it with the EGR. I'm going to run it without the EGR. I'm going to do a WC Fab high flow intake air bundle. I'm going to do this. You know what I did at the end of the day? I spent $15. I got a blocker plate.
Oh my God.
When I upgrade later, I'm going to do a twin kit, and that's going to include all of my Y bridge and everything I need. Why would I buy it now and then have to redo shit later? That just didn't make sense to me.
Okay.
So I had a plan in place.
There you
go. Okay, that right there is a 600 horsepower truck. I just want to be clear. I was done making power at $5,165.34.
Right.
If I got all of this through Alligator and I just did a little bit of strong arming on my converter, I didn't even pay shipping on a thing. You can't beat that. Like you can't beat that. $5,000, boom, I'm 600 horsepower. But I was like, you know what? This truck's not done. That's not a complete build because nobody drives that. Right?
Okay.
You need more shit. Like, you got to have a 52-inch LED straight light bar with a universal roof mount from Freedom Diesel Performance. That was $670, bro. I got it. Done. Window tinting. You know I'm not going to roll around without window tint. $150.
Fishbowl delete.
Done.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Then I was like, you know what? This fucker's looking sick now in my head, right? I'm like, I've got this bad bitch set up, but I got stock rims and tires. Who the fuck rides around on stock rims? And nobody rides around on stock rims and tires. So I jumped onto Craigslist. I did a little bit of digging. I was like, you know what? I want some big bad bitches.
Oh, here we go.
Not really my thing. I just want to be honest. Like, not really my thing. But if I was thinking about like a truck in the parking lot at work that looks sick, that I was like, this is a show quality truck, it's probably got big rims and tires. So I found a set of 305 30/26s. I got a 6-inch lift, a zone lift.
26s?
I said that clearly. 26-inch rims, bitch. And then I even paid $100 for an alignment because I'm classy like that. That was another $4,019.95. Grand total, I'm 600 horsepower and looking like a fucking dope motherfucker for $9,185.29. You're like, Paul, what about that $814.71 you have left over? None of my numbers are written down, by the way. I'm remembering all of this from my head. Not true. Okay. And I'm like, you know what? I probably fucked something up. I probably fucked something up. So I can go one of two ways, right? I got $814 in my pocket. I can buy a set of traction bars for $765, throw the rest of my money in the fuel tank, or maybe buy some dope CDs, right? Or I could just use that as a down payment to go fix all the shit I fucked up when I installed it. So I'm covered either way. I'm just saying, like, I have a reserve either way I want to go with this.
And you can buy that dope ass 12-inch tip that does the axle dump to echo off.
Do you know how much it costs? I'm gonna see if I can fit that in my budget. Hell, good idea, man.
Oh my God.
Good idea.
Do you want
Axle
me to,
tip,
do you want
$200.
Do you want me to powder coat like the tip of crazy ass color?
Nothing. I want nothing powder coated on it. Because when I go to my twin kit, we're going gloss black with sparkle gold. And then we're doing the whole truck.
You always say that color.
The whole truck.
Always.
When I see a cooler color than that, I will start quoting that color. But until then, that's the coolest one I've seen. Even the blues. I love like the baller ass blues.
Liquid
and the real
blueberry,
liquid
illusion
blueberry. Yeah. I love all that. But the black
the blue
with the gold
frost,
flake.
the blue
was
and gray
nasty.
frost
Yeah.
are two of the nastiest powder coating colors.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
yeah.
That is my build, bitches.
I mean, you lost just because.
What do you mean just because?
Nah, I'm writing bullet points.
All right.
All right, Franzen. Or as
Alrighty.
the homies like to call it tranny.
Yeah.
So
Tranny here.
let's get it.
I am not a transvestite.
I didn't even make that assumption.
Whoa.
All right. Seriously though, Tyler, what do you got?
Well, with the earlier build that I had done, I had started with.
We're in the present.
Okay. I had started with a low mileage LBZ, but I'm actually I had one on the back burner that was a lot nicer. Is a buddy of mine, Connor's truck. The
gray one.
It's like a pewter gray.
Yeah, that's a nice truck.
Yeah, beautiful truck. He has already a few little mods to it. It has, I want to say, 230K on it, maybe. A little higher mileage. But he already has PPE manifolds and up pipes, and he has tunes and exhaust. That's it. He doesn't have front end supports or anything like that. So this is my truck now. It's pretty much bone stock, other than exhaust and tunes and up pipes and manifold. I went, because I'm from WC Fab, I went with the S300 single kit. Because she's got that wrap though at the, at the
So let's go a little bit more in depth. You're doing an S300 kit. What's the turbo that you're going with?
I'm going with a 363 SXE.
Okay.
Tighter housing. So
what size?
90.
Okay.
Tighter housing. So I have a little bit. I don't have that lag. I can still tow with it. It's still going to be a little more laggier, but I mean, I'm all about that pop. I like that pop at the end.
Like head gaskets on his truck, right?
Yeah,
I like that pop, right?
Yeah, I like the pop, like my 6
Says the 6.0 in the parking lot right now. Yo, man, if you look at the passenger side, man, cooling down the motherfucker. Driver's side, my bad. 6 liter.
So, yeah, I went with a smaller S300 SXE. That whole kit from Whirly, includes the intake, the pedestal, the intercooler pipes. I even went fancy and decided to do that Illusion Blueberry. It's my favorite color.
That's my shit.
I paid that extra $45 for the upgrade. So the single kit itself is you're looking at $2245. The turbo itself is $743.87. Of course, that's plus tax. I also went with the PCV reroute since it's not feeding back into the intake anymore. I have a fast 165 as well. I did not go with a sump. I do believe I had some room, though, to work with a sump, but I think I just failed to put it back in there. I brought something with me, though. I brought some up pipes with me. Can't see them, of course.
You do know this is an audio podcast,
Yeah, I know.
right?
Chevy did the same thing when you guys did the budget.
You brought props for an audio podcast.
I brought props because Radio Rick takes pictures.
It's Radio Rich.
Or Rich, my bad. I cut his name shorter. I just left out the H. So I brought my 2-inch stainless up pipes. You can clearly see here that this hillbilly modified up pipe has been stretched beyond hell.
Watch it.
Watch what?
The Hillbilly Modified, man.
Dude, I know that's what we're all about, but we got to be professional here. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's why I was excited about Connor's truck having those 2-inch stainless up pipes already on his truck, because when you're seeing higher EGTs, more pressure throughout the engine, you're definitely going to start spreading those bellows out. And this sucker is like a full V compared to the nice slick looking stainless 2-inch stainless pipes. So that's definitely something that I wanted to put on there. What else do I have? Of course, I went with a built trans. I didn't do just a shift kit. I went with a full build, the 750 build from Whirly. Now this is something I would say most, driveway mechanics could maybe do if they had, a trans jack. It's not super difficult to pull a trans out. It is labor intensive. But I'm just going as if I have some mechanic knowledge. Growing up, I've worked on diesels, so I'm going with the knowledge that I have, even before Whirly, that I could put this trans in myself, and of course give Mr. Whirly back the core. So it's a 750 horse trans. It's got a go around R. Of course, it has upgraded clutches, Transgo shift kit. All the basics for a nicely built trans. I also, since I had the trans out, I went with a pump rub kit from Merchant. That was $110. The trans itself, we'll go back to that. It was just under $5,000. Now, for reliability, I upgraded my front end with some tie rod sleeves. Something Paul did not do.
Oh, you don't have to point that out. I got notes.
Okay. All right. Because you and I think, both wrote notes at the same time.
Yeah.
Probably about the same thing. I also went with a set of Caltrax, just to keep my ass end from giving the bunny
You didn't even
hops.
use WC
Wait, why
Fab
didn't you use
traction
Jason's
bars?
kit?
Because
Cost,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
You heard it first.
I'll tell you what. When I had this written up, he wanted to check out what my build looked like.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he noticed. He was, "Why aren't you putting our track bars on there?" I was like, "Because I'm being a cheap."
Well, when I did my
fuck."
Cummins, I did Caltrax. It was 2-wheel drive, so I did it for different reasons. But
Right.
Caltrax drives so poorly. It's such a very stiff, uncomfortable ride. But from the cost aspect of it, it's almost half.
Yeah.
So-
So drivability, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
But it is something that I wanted to have that support in the rear end for. Like I had mentioned, the truck already has calibrated power tunes on it with a switch.
So you just had to do a retune then.
So this guy,
Solid.
So
this
I'm
guy,
using
hold on.
you.
Solid.
Hold on. This guy came in here with
Like a wrecking
parts
ball.
already on the truck.
Like
and was
a wrecking ball.
Oh yeah, no,
Three
those,
things.
Those are free.
Three
yeah,
things.
Yeah. Up pipes are $550. Tunes are another. I mean, almost $1,000 by the time you're done with it. With an auto cal and trans. Do you have trans tuning
don't
on
need
your
an
truck?
auto cal.
Do you have trans tuning on your truck? No
Yeah.
trans tuning. Garbage. That's all I'm saying.
That's
He's also not on 38s with 26s on a 4-inch
Yeah.
lift.
That's why on here
6 inch.
I threw in.
That's awesome.
Oh God. That is why I went on here and had Shotgun Bob get me on the dyno and do some dyno tuning. And then I also made a little money here, pretty much paying for my dyno run by selling my core turbo back to Duramax Tuner.
There you go.
So-
For how much?
I don't know. What do you guys get for them?
So you don't even know. So you
300
never
bucks?
sold it. No, we charge
that's-
$300. I can't tell you
dude.
what I pay for them.
Dude,
Less
yeah,
than,
you're good.
less
You're
than
good.
what I
Don't
sell
worry.
them for.
I don't know.
Hey, you know what, Franzen? We'd give you 300. It's cool.
Fucking liar.
Yeah. Squad. No, yeah, it's $300 right there. I just figured because I found them on Facebook Marketplace for $300, $250, $300.
Lies.
So, whatever.
You're just waiting a while to get it on the dyno.
yeah.
You have to sell it first.
yeah.
You get 1 hour.
Dogs
Don't
gotta
fuck
sell,
up.
Dogs gotta
All
sell
right.
turbo. That's my build there. I mean, total I came out $9,700, just a few dollars over. The other thing, the last and final thing that I threw on there, just because I had all that fancy powder on one side of the engine bay, I went ahead and threw on the 2001 to 2010 coolant pipe. We just released those. So
So you have that to match.
I had to
Nice.
have a little more color on the
glossy.
on the other side to make it look good.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Are we doing rebuttals now?
I mean, I don't know. I think.
Let's hear your questions, Chris.
Okay. So I'm going to start with you, Paul.
Go for it.
So, like my friends that were in high school, they had like $1,000 car and they'd spend $3,000 on wheels. You mean to tell me that you spent $4,000 on wheels, tires, and lift, but you didn't address the transmission, like the whole
I did
transmission?
address.
You didn't. You addressed two pieces of the puzzle, but putting that lift and tire size on a truck at that power level, it is much more stressful.
Let me explain. Let me explain why. That's a really good point, Chris, and I'm glad you brought it up.
All right, yeah, for sure.
Okay. I said at the beginning, we all know I'm going to 1,000 horsepower down the road.
Right.
And we all know that a 6-speed under 99% operation, even with the big tires, really could get by on a shift kit and a torque converter. Do I have ultimate reliability with that?
Hell no.
Probably not.
But
Probably not.
that's
But I have a plan. Because down the road when I go to 1,000, I don't have to reopen my trans and rebuild it or send back a $4,500 trans and then have to go buy a $9,000 trans or try to sell a used built trans to go add all these billet parts. When I build it, I'm going to fucking build it.
Okay.
And
But
it's
we're-
going to be done.
We're talking about 600 horse now, reliably for the long
Yeah,
haul.
present.
Okay, so
Present.
So hold on, but I you have a brownie point, like maybe $1.
There's some
you know?
truth.
So hold
There's
on.
some truth in what I said.
So since you did your stealth,
Yeah.
okay, you plan on going to 1,000 down the road, so you just reused all the gaskets.
I do have
Because-
I do have a failsafe for fixing all the shit I
Because
forgot.
Duramax Tuner does offer a gasket kit.
They do, and it's
Okay.
$65. I'll pull that out of my 814 from my leftover. So, and I also just wanted to throw on. I wrote down. I just didn't read. I did have.
So here's
I
the
have
thing,
it right
though.
here. I did have.
There's also my
the-
time in guiding you through the build because you screwed up.
That doesn't
Okay,
cost
now hold
me
on. There's
anything.
one more thing.
This shit's free.
There is. And then at 600 horsepower, when we're talking about reliability, minimum up pipes, right? Like we're talking $550 for a set of up pipes to work on the factory manifold. Add another $110 to do an LML driver side manifold, or $1,000 just to go Billy Badass. You just said you were going to go
Are
to
you-
1,000.
are
You
you-
said you were going to go 1,000. You're like, yo, so you spent the money now, and it's reliable for the long haul. So
All
stop.
pipes change if you do a twin kit.
No, you can. If you buy the right kit, then you don't have to change them.
Fair enough. But
Thank you.
But you can do it
We work
either
at the
way.
same company,
you can
by
do
the
it
way.
either way. We know this. Okay.
These
and
are
one,
off the twin
I-
kit. That's off the twin kit.
Okay, fair enough.
So those are kind of the three things that like I had note-wise down for you that I just didn't like.
Yeah.
Okay. The lift and tire size isn't going to be the best for a couple of those scenarios.
Just for towing.
But with
Yeah.
the variable vane geometry turbo still in play, it is going to help out a little
Trans tuning will help out, get me back in there.
bit. So now,
I do want to
Franzen.
say, I before you dive in, training. Good job on the pump rub kit. I missed
Yeah.
it for I have it in my budget. I don't
Yeah.
have it written down. That one was that was a nice score. Everything else you said was shit, and I hated it. But that was good.
And I have some goods too, but you just kind of beat me to the pump.
Go
up
ahead.
kit,
I'm
so,
sorry. Go ahead.
Now,
Go ahead.
Franzen's, things that I don't agree on. And it's funny that you mentioned the S300 because I actually just got off the phone with a guy today who has an LBZ, has a built trans, stock injectors with dual fuelers, okay? And he had a 64, 68 with a .91 AR. And he swore up and down that his LBZ with a stock turbo will run circles around the fixed vane with that turbocharger in a towing scenario. Okay, so he didn't want to go back to a variable vane, so I had spec'd him one of the new SXEs. Okay, we went with a 63, 68, but we went with a T4 divided .83 housing. So allow the turbocharger to come up into boost at a lower RPM. I told him it's going to be better than what he's currently experiencing, but it's sure as hell not going to be as good as a variable vane. But this is a welding rig that weighs 12,000 pounds. He tows an additional 14,000 pounds behind it. And he's gone through a couple variable vanes. I mean, he's working this truck. It's
Yeah.
working really hard.
Hell yeah,
so,
he is.
I said less moving parts might be better for this application. Unless you want to go compounds, but now you're talking $6,000, $7,000 for what he's going to invest to get it the way he
Yeah,
needs.
to get it right.
So, bang for your buck. Simplicity. We went with that turbocharger. So that was the one thing that I would have liked to have seen a tighter exhaust housing on that. Traction bars, you did that. That's awesome. I'm still shocked that Jason let you leave the shop without having his bars on there. I've driven a lot of trucks that have had Jason's traction bars on there. I've personally owned trucks that have had Caltracs. If I were to ever do another truck, or if I ever were to recommend it to someone, it's Jason's bars over anything else for the drivability aspect and the fact that you can color code it and match it to what you have in the engine bay.
Yeah.
And then the only other question that I had for you is you bought a truck with 200 and some odd thousand miles, and talking about reliability, 230,000 miles on stock CP3 and injectors,
and no fuel pressure relief valve.
and no,
Yeah,
and
I
no
know.
fuel pressure relief
That
valve.
is one thing that
So that's a gamble. I mean, that's a huge gamble. At least Paul, one owner, 120K. Like, we know that we at least have a little bit more life expectancy out of it.
Yeah.
And I would be curious as to when the truck did get on the dyno, taking Bob's time and fighting against fuel pressure issues or
Yeah.
maybe too much bleed off of the injectors into the return. So that would be questionable. But I mean, it's weird that you guys missed different things altogether, but for what it is, it was very polished on both sides.
Yeah.
So
I also think that if you would have went with a simpler turbo setup, you wouldn't have such a need for dyno tuning, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're on a Stel 64 stock fuel built trans, which is that's pretty much all that's into the power, right? All the rest of the stuff is supporting.
I think you have to look at the enthusiasts themselves, and you have to put yourself in the customer's shoes. It's the journey, right? So they invested $10,000, right, into a truck. For a company to tell them you'll make 600 horse, they want it validated. They want that dyno paper printed off to brag and show their friends.
Right.
Okay. So I understand where you would dyno tune and want that number. And yes, a drop-in turbocharger versus a fixed vane. Air is air, fuel is fuel. We know where the trucks are going to lie. We take the truck, run it on the street, data log it. If Bob gives it the green light like it did exactly what we expected it to, we're going to be around 20 horsepower, 30 horsepower of what the truck should be making. The dyno is just to validate that, hey, you have a big swinging dick, your truck makes 600 horse.
And it was a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the experience.
and she's got that pop.
And I will say, Nick's going to kill me if he hears this, but, an LBZ with a fixed vane, that wrap, though, especially with an 8-inch dip.
Fuck out of here.
I'm just saying,
Get
dude.
the fuck.
I mean,
You would
it's
never
unique.
recommend that to a customer.
No.
You would never recommend that to a customer.
I said I like the wrap.
You would-
I didn't say I
yeah.
would drive it.
Right.
Okay.
It's the inner high school self of
Dude,
us.
Nick, I've worked now for Nick 4 years. I feel like I've advanced 50 years in life. He has turned
True
me into an
story.
old man.
True
okay? Quieter the better. I don't like cloth. I like the leather. The only thing he hasn't turned me on is the tan interior. He's against it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the negatives that I would say there. Being cost-minded, you would never recommend a converter and a shift kit to a customer. You're always going to recommend a trans, okay? I mean, that is just what it is.
I've had some honest conversations
where,
with people.
Franzen, I mean, he crossed his T's and dotted his I's, man. He wanted a reliable truck in that aspect. So, yeah, I mean, those are a couple things. We're going to go through all the bullet points here
Let's do
shortly.
it, yeah.
So, I mean, do you guys want to rebuttal? Do you guys want to,
I mean, the only thing
PP
that
sizes?
the only thing I have with you is that trans. That's really it. That trans.
I mean, you don't know anybody that's run a shift kit and a converter for a year, 2 years, 3 years on 600 horsepower in a 6-speed? That seems like wildly normal to me.
I mean, it's
like I understand it's the
normal.
budget way to go, hence budget build.
Yeah.
If this was the ultimate 600 horsepower build, well, I would have said, okay, let's do a DT 750 or a WC Sabs 750.
You
whatever.
wasted $4,000 on some bunk ass wheels, tires, and lift.
That's what I can't get
it was
over.
$2,500 for the rims and tires.
$2,500. You could have fuel in
If I
there.
could finish, sir, $2,500 for rims and tires to look dope. And dude, when is the
26s?
last? When is?
Yeah.
26. Have you ever Googled a truck with
They were-
26s?
I did, and actually,
Is
there
there
was-
at least
Like,
some
I
bad
fucking
things?
hate
So
you.
listen, so I did this so well that I came down to the very end and I'm like, fuck, I have too much money left over. What am I going to buy? Like I
my
literally
God.
had to go on Craigslist and search for like rims and tires. And I found all of these ones that I would totally buy, like H2 rims and tires, like totally normal sets. And I'm like, oh man, these were all really nice. And I was like, fuck, they all cost $1,100. I need to burn up more cash. Like I literally had to burn cash because I did
Like,
such a
I
good
would
job.
never have
If I would have
questioned-
just not done the rims and tires and I would have grabbed the 3 things I missed, I would have still ended up having $3,000 sitting in my
you're right.
pocketbook.
You're right. And I would have agreed with you more going that build, but I would never coach someone that has that wheel and tire combo on that lift. On that lift to do a stock trans with those components.
Dude's
That's
gonna
just
roll
personally, I
in
would
playing
never-
Gucci Gang.
Yeah, I know.
That is
Taylor-
I don't know
Gang.
who that is, and I know you two do.
That is
I know
That's
that.
what-
Yeah, I know.
right,
so
yeah.
that's where I don't agree. So
No, that-
how about Franzen? What do you have to rebuttal on him?
Well, that was my rebuttal.
Oh.
Was that trans? I
Okay.
can't with a stupid lift and tire combo like that. Even I mean,
And no stupid up pipes, no stupid manifolds.
yeah, stupid.
Dude,
No,
there's a
you're
lot
gonna
of
use
costs.
gaskets.
Hold on.
You know what? No, hold on. You are the demographic. You bought wheels and tires. You spent money on a lift
Yeah.
kit. You wasted all this money, but you didn't buy a $70 gasket kit.
Yeah.
And then you're calling you. You're gonna call you and be like, "Man, the truck's blowing smoke. It's pissing oil. Like I don't know what's going on here." You're that guy.
I
You're
can
that
smell.
guy.
I can
am.
smell exhaust in my cab. What the hell's going
This
on?
is right. So
The tune caused it.
Blame it on the tune.
I love it.
So
I love
that's my one big rebuttal with that. The other thing, of course, is the front end. I mean, especially with the lift kit and tires.
I did have
The no zone
Tie rod
lift comes with
sleeves.
that.
Yeah.
You didn't say it.
yeah.
Deduct a point.
Okay.
So,
So now I have 1,000,000 points
So
instead
did
of
you-
1,000,004.
did you
Okay.
rebuttal him? Did you rebuttal him already?
Yeah, everything
All
you
right,
said was garbage, and everything I said was right. You
right.
garbagized
I'm
this.
just gonna get right
garbagized
into it then
Do it.
because I feel like this was a big waste of time. Drivability, Paul.
Nailed it.
Paul, drivability for sure.
Yep.
Complexity of the build. So we're talking simplicity. That's gonna go to Paul. The turbo kit. I mean, a drop-in's always easier than an S300. We have to. You have to agree with that.
And we'll make the same horsepower, and we'll both have towing like I'll get better results out of doing a VGT with no up pipes and manifolds than you will out of doing a fixed vane with up pipes and manifolds, or they're the same.
So you're gonna pull the EGR and factory bridge out, pull the turbo out, put the stealth in, put all that junk back in when it's already out, and you could already have a Y bridge kit or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's simpler.
Yeah.
So
How is that simpler?
I'm the judge.
Oh my god, this is ridiculous. This is rigged.
Completeness. That goes to Franzen.
I'm not going to argue.
You know,
I would
100%.
love to argue, but he did all right. Yeah.
Reliability. That's going to Franzen.
Come on.
If you never did the lift and tires,
Yeah, I know.
then
I
it would
would've
be a
got
different
him.
story,
Yeah.
okay?
I mean, he's going to be spending money on a pump and injectors because he never checked any of that shit. So I don't know about reliability.
well, you know
there.
what? Hey, I've
But-
had guys that have gone 300K too. So you know what? You watch your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know the history of what's in that truck. So yeah,
But it runs well now.
Yeah,
If we tune that truck, it
great
runs
now.
good. So
Yeah.
tow friendly, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Even with that stupid lift and fucking ungodly.
Have you not seen one of the dope ass drop hitches they put on those, dude?
Good
Come on,
God.
nailed it.
Did you put one of those $1,000 hitches in on your budget
No,
as
that'd
well?
be stupid. I'd never do that.
So, this one's going to be a little toss up, and I'll dive into this a little bit. So, potential short-term risks. You, the trans, just
There's a little bit. I'll admit there's a small risk there.
fairly big. Tie rod sleeves. You didn't mention tie rods.
They're on, dude.
No,
they're on the
that's-
sheet.
That's a
They're on the
short-term
sheet.
risk because
Okay.
your dumbass is going to be doing a four-wheel drive.
You
fucking
know as soon as I get that
a
turbo
four-wheel
in.
drive burnout.
Four dig burnout.
Yeah, so that's that.
That blooper reel will never let go.
Never.
Fucking rich.
Long-term issues. Again, the trans. You know?
Hey, it can only be a short-term
Right.
issue. It's only going to happen
'cause you're
quick
you're
or not
gonna
going to
do it.
happen.
Yeah, and you did plan on building it,
Yeah.
right?
Long-term issue would be more tranny's problem.
Right,
That's where he missed on
tranny,
that.
where you kind of messed up. You know, potential short-term and long-term, the injectors and pump. You know, that's a big one.
Yep.
That's a big. I mean, that's $4,000. That's
Yep.
$4,000.
Yeah, that's
you
his
know?
wheels, tires, and lift.
Also,
True.
230,000 mile LBZ. Are those pistons going to hold?
I mean,
was
we're
that
not
a good
talking.
batch
You know
of
what? That's
pistons or
bullshit.
not?
Because I got one of my
I don't
best
know.
friends has an LMM with almost 300 rounds, making almost 700 horse, and he beats the shit out of that truck. So you know what? If they last, they're gonna last. Honestly, I trust his at 230 before yours at 120. All right, I'm just gonna be 100% honest.
Probably true.
If his shit broke, it would have broke already.
Yeah, fair enough.
And utilizing the whole budget.
Who came closer? How much did you have
mean-
left over?
I mean, just for the fact that you bought wheels and tires, he won.
I'm just saying.
I did such a good job that I had over half left, and I decided to be a fucking idiot.
Let me ask this. How many 600 horsepower trucks do you see with stock rims and tires?
A majority of them.
No, come on.
Dude, come
Get the
on.
fuck
Well,
outta
hold
here.
on. Connor's
Most
truck
guys-
does have wheels and tires.
Okay,
He's
so
got
you scored. So
He's
you
got,
scored.
He's got 420s, and I
We were not starting. We were starting with
these.
a. I believe the parameters
Okay,
included
you know what? Hold on.
stock
Let me ask you
trucks to
something.
start.
Hold on,
Just
let
to
me
be
ask you
honest.
something, and that's fine. You know, you got the truck, okay?
Right.
Wheels and tires aren't considered a mod, okay?
Yeah.
You're
Name
doing
a
air
fucking-
quotes like people can see us.
Name a
dumbass.
fucking truck that makes 600 horse with 26s. You fucking idiot! Like, come on, man. You grew up in Marengo.
The UCC truck. Boom.
You grew up in
Nailed it.
Marengo. Like, stop it. So
Those are semi wheels.
Paul, tranny, Paul,
Paul won.
tranny, Paul, tranny.
You're just saying tranny and Paul. People can't see what you're
I
pointing
am not
at,
a
dude.
transgender.
Oh no, I never. So I never finished. So the potential long-term, short-term, that's going to go to him. So that's going to
You're
go to him.
pointing again. It's
Right.
a podcast.
That's going to go to Tyler
Thank
Franzen.
you.
Oh yeah, and utilizing the whole budget that goes to him.
Sent it.
So he won.
Sent it.
Fucking rigged. This is bullshit. I will never. I will never be a guest ever again on this show.
Another budget build win for WC Fab.
Oh,
Shibby won with the 6 liter.
Yeah.
Shibby's an ex-employee, so that don't count.
Does that guy even do diesel anymore?
No comment. But no,
Diesel Prince.
honestly, dude, I thought you were gonna have it until
I
you brought
know.
up the wheels and tires. I was like, Paul, like that's
I
not
should have
funny.
come up-
That's not cool.
I should have come up with a better way to burn up my budget. I
Like
really
when I bought
should've.
my 20 by 12s, I
could've-
bought it off a homie who was on a tight budget. I picked them up for $1,100. They were 6 months old. You know, you always got to hit them when they're hurting.
There were
Not
rims and
26s.
well, I paid.
Yeah.
I paid full price on a Craigslist ad. I mean, you know, if I wanted to work that, I had it for
They're
two.
still 26s. No one likes 26s.
Somebody does because they make them and they bought them and they're used.
What
so
was the
somebody
make?
bought them and
Yeah,
liked them.
and then they sold them
They're
because
right,
they didn't like them.
They wanted to go bigger. They were looking for them 38s.
Congrats, Franz, and I'm proud of you, man. I came in here thinking you were going to win, so. No, but honestly, guys, like this is something that we get asked frequently, and I'm sure it's not
All the
just
time.
Paul and I, but you as
Yeah.
well over at Whirly.
Yep.
You know, at the end of the day, you guys are going to offer a specific product because you might have customers that want a fixed vane. Okay,
Yeah, I did. Just real quick, I did actually do a little bit of real work on this as well. I had our shop manager, Phil Grandinetti, put together a little information for me. Like,
Okay.
hey, Phil, if we had a guy
customer,
show up with a
right.
bunch of used parts and he wanted to install them to go to 700 horsepower on his LBZ, right? He's got 10 grand. Could we do it? And like, he worked it out to where like if you showed up with all of the parts with like the twin turbo kit and you wanted to kind of do this build but like a little bit bigger and you found all those parts used, the labor on it, picking up like a Stealth 64, there was a couple of new parts in there, but like I worked this out to where like probably 18, 19 grand, you could go to 750 horsepower with mostly used parts, right? You get a couple of new parts in there. you'll probably be about $20K. I think I worked out like $8,700 worth of used parts, $10,000 worth of new parts and labor. And then I just figure, there's those little things that I missed or that you missed, right, that we would add on. So you'd be about $20,000. The reality is that I would never tell you to spend $20,000 and have a bunch of used parts in your build. And that's kind of the sad thing when we talk about budget builds is like over here on the reality side, if you're not going to do all of the work yourself, you're wasting your money because all that money you spend on labor, they're not going to warranty it, right? Tyler, like you guys aren't going to warranty installing used parts. We're not going to warranty installing used parts. So like if you're really looking for 600 horsepower, I think this was a very realistic thing you could do. If you were looking to go past this, it does get significantly more expensive. If you were looking, yeah, exactly. And if you were looking to have like a warranty or have a company stand behind everything or buy everything new, it's significantly more expensive, 2 to 3 times more expensive to build something up in that 700 horsepower range. And that's usually the questions I get is like, oh, I want to go to 700, I want to go to 1,000. And the more we talk and the more we dig into it, we land back at this 600 horsepower mark.
I think the big thing is it's about stages, okay? I know myself, when I've done any of my projects, I've never overnight spent $10,000 or $20,000 into a project, okay? It's, well, I have 3 to 4 to spend today. I'll have 3 to 4 to spend in another 6 months, and I'll have another 3 to 4 to spend in another year from now. So how do I invest my money and do it in stages?
Right.
Hold on.
Dude, I am in the middle of something.
Paul just handed me a picture of these things.
They're sick,
of these
bro.
dumb-ass, hideous wheels.
You have almost
Look
the
at
same
these
ones on
things.
your truck.
Look at these things. I bought the truck with those, and those are like Mickey Thompsons. They are not gaudy-ass looking.
I'm not kidding.
Like
I don't even
that.
want to touch the paper.
Jesus Christ.
All I wanted to get across was you can do this in stages. There is a way to do this reliably. There is a way to be budget minded, and the money that you spend today doesn't necessarily have to be wasted when you go to that next step in the future. Right. So it's all about thinking of whatever your end goal is. It might be 500, 700, might be 900, might be 1,000. Figure out the time frame. Figure out what you want to get to at that that stage.
Yeah.
And then make sure that your money is being invested in the right way. And I think, both Worley, both us, we can, we have enough knowledge, to kind of help steer that guy into the right direction.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like I had said earlier in the episode, if you are also looking for knowledge or resources on this stuff, like Chris said, contact us, contact Tyler, contact the guys over at Alligator.
Absolutely.
I actually put in a call to them to ask them a couple of questions about getting some of these parts, what was going to qualify for free shipping and stuff like that. And
Like
bent
the
their ear.
lift
No, that was actually No Zone is free shipping on their lift kit. Just so you know, it was also the cheapest lift kit. I would never recommend.
I've
a No
installed
Zone.
a handful of those lift kits. I don't think I'll ever install anymore.
Yeah, I would never buy one. I mean, there were some things in this where, like I said, I got down to the end. I'm like, well, I made the power. Fuck them. I'll just burn my budget, right? But
you could have gone with fuel with something like that.
Yeah, I could have.
Yeah.
I could have done a lot of things, right?
But if that truck was ever in our lot with those wheels,
I'd make fun of it. Yeah, I get it. Because it wouldn't just be that truck. It would be that truck with those wheels and like 400 stickers in the back window and 300 black ices
Diesel
on
fuel
the meal.
makes me horny.
Yeah,
Stickers.
of course. Stuff like that. Yeah. So, which is fine. I mean, those are those customers out there, and like we still work with them. We still have a great time with them and everything. But like on this build, there is that point of reliability and completeness that I think Chris brought up, and that's what's going to be really important for us going forward.
Yep.
For today, this is Paul Wilson,
Chris Ehmke,
And Tyler Franzen.
Thanks for listening.
Calibrated Power Solutions, the leading North American developer of clean diesel power and home of DuramaxTuner.com, is the proud sponsor of the Diesel Performance Podcast. Calibrated Power develops emissions-equipped calibrations for a wide variety of diesel powertrains, including the Duramax, Cummins, Jeep, John Deere, and many more. For more information and the best customer service in the industry, check out calibratedpower.com or call 815-568-7920. That's 815-568-7920. If you'd like to contact the Diesel Performance Podcast, send us a message through Facebook or email Paul at DuramaxTuner.com or Chris at CEHMKE at DuramaxTuner.com. You could also reach him by phone. Chris's extension is 2121, Paul's is 2122.
you are the demographic. You bought wheels and tires. You spent money on a lift
Yeah.
kit. You wasted all this money, but you didn't buy a $70 gasket kit.
Yeah.
And then you're calling you. You're going to call you and be like, man, the truck's blowing smoke. It's pissing oil. Like, I don't know what's going on here. You're that guy. You're that guy.
I can
am.
smell exhaust in my cab. What the heck's going
This
on?
is right.
The
So
tune caused it.
Blame it on the tune.